Hi, welcome to your Business and Professional Communication course. I'm Lisa Hill and I'll be your instructor for the semester. Welcome to class. I'm so glad you decided to join this course, this online virtual, 100% virtual comm252 class. I'd like to take about 15-20 minutes and orient you to this class. It's a little different than other online classes because we have three major components in this class. We have first your D2L shell, which is the meat of the class, and we'll look at that in a minute. You also have your textbook with Rebel. Rebel is the online component with chapters, audio chapters, and your quizzes for the class. And I'll show you how to get into that digital textbook. And then lastly, along with the communication component, you will be offering presentations. You will be recording presentations and you will be offering them through the class. And what we do is we use GoReact, which is a type of software that records your presentations. But no worries, guys, because I will clearly show you how to use each of these components of the class. I also have a resource area that clearly goes through the information on how to peruse each area and how to use each of the software. Okay, so let's get started. First, before we go into the course, I want to go over this really important area of your home page. So as you can see here, this is your home page. Some of you have taken online classes in the past. Maybe you're new to this. So what I want to do is just show the different components of the D2L, your home page of your class. To start us off, this is called your nav bar, this red area. And this is basically, and let me move this up a little bit for you. This is basically a shortcut to get to certain areas. Content browser, this is the meat of your class, probably the most important area of your course. And you see that we have each learning module broken down to weeks of when they're due. Generally, each learning module, okay, so every week you're going to have a learning module to complete. And that is due on Sunday by 11:45 p.m. Couple things about that. Okay, if you're a procrastinator, it's due Saturday at 11:45 p.m. You'll see in my syllabus I say live by the 24-hour rule, because if, for instance, you're trying to complete your assignments last minute, which I hope you're not, because you should be logging in throughout the week, at least set up 2 or 3 times a week to complete, to learn, to read, to watch the videos, and then the assignments are due at the very end of the week. If you are a procrastinator, I do say have it due the night before, because you never know if D2L is going to be down. You don't know if the internet's going to be down. I do not accept late work. You have the whole course in front of you, so you can work ahead. But because of the nature of this class, unless it's an extenuating circumstance and you have emailed me prior to what the due date is, I do not extend the deadline. So just keep that in mind so that you use your good time management skills, which is also very important in business, to complete your work on time. Okay, so this is our content browser, and we'll look at that more carefully in a few minutes, especially your resource module, which has all the components that I talked about earlier as far as how to record and Revel. And then we'll look at a typical module, learning module, of what you need to complete by the end of a particular week. You'll see here, as you know, your start here, which is your my news item. I use this many times. Be sure that you always check the news item when you log on. I put upcoming news, news from previous learning modules. It's just good to check in as far as the news module is concerned. Questions about a course. You know, we're trying to simulate a live classroom. So let's say you are in a live classroom and you have a question. This is like raising your hand and saying, hey, when is that webinar due? Or I'm not quite sure I understand this concept. That's what you can post right here. Students, please respond to your classmates here. I will also respond as well if I need to clarify something as an instructor. This last area of your home page is technical assistance and student resources. So here you have access to everything you need if you should have some issues regarding your technical issues. For instance, the Hack Help Desk, that's anything to do with the D2L or with the course. D2L tech support, that's specifically within D2L, within the course. Hack Help Desk, that could be like, oh, I lost my my login name and I need to get help on how to get back into class. Pearson, that's your book publisher, okay? And here is system support. Go React and recording, when you're recording your presentations, if you have some issues. This top frequently asked questions, please read that, okay? This has to do with Rebel, which is your textbook. So if you have any questions, look at that. And again, you can see all these other links to help you get started in the class. But this is a good little resource area for you for this particular class. Here is the book. And here is the link. You'll see you'll have links to get into the textbook Rebel. Okay, and I'm using that interchangeably, that, you know, your textbook is Rebel. Rebel is the digital component, the audio component of your textbook. Guys, you can read the textbook and highlight, but what I recommend is that you go into Rebel, listen to the textbook, highlight as you're listening to the textbook. Gosh, you could do this, you know, on your phone so that you could highlight information, because you'll have quizzes at the end of particular chapters that you need to have definitely read and highlighted information from your textbook. So we'll look at that in a few minutes. And then also, this is my email, and you'll see this in my syllabus. You know, as far as getting a hold of me, I've been teaching for Hack for almost 20 years. Yeah, 20 years, and I've been with virtual. I was a full-time faculty member at Gettysburg. I am now 100% virtual, and the way to get a hold of me is through my email. And believe me, I do check it. We do have a 48-hour rule. You'll see that in the syllabus. But if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Okay, so that's your home page. And be sure that you cover, or that you look at each of these areas. You could click on anything, you won't break anything. Let's look at your nav bar real quick. Another way to get into your content, your grades, which are very important, as you know, and I'll click on that for you so you could see that how your grades are listed. You could see if you missed something. If you have 0, that means that you missed something, which you will not have, but you could easily see your particular grades. As we get into the course, I will eventually put up a final grade category. So when we're like 3/4 into the course, I usually say, okay, I'm going to put up this final grade so you can see where you're at as far as your grade is concerned. But you know, you could always do it the old-fashioned way of dividing the number of points, available points, by what the overall points are, and you could always see what your grade is in the class at any particular time. Discussions, yes, you will have discussion posts. This is just a quick way to get into your discussion posts. For instance, I'm going to ask you questions, or I'm going to ask you to post something and then reply to other students. So if you want to go back to reply, this is a quick way to get in rather than going through your content. Dropbox is a place where you will put papers. You'll see places in the Dropbox. This is where it'll go. Again, I'll have all this in your course, in the content. This is just a shortcut to get there. Communication, you could see the class list of your classmates. And I just want to point out a couple things here with the resources. Here's a library guide to conduct researches for your speeches. If you would need to do any research, do a system check to make sure everything is copacetic with your class. And then lastly, this tutoring, Smart Thinking Tutoring, is an excellent resource if you should need tutoring. Do know, guys, that you have a home campus. Maybe it's virtual, but we have 5 different campuses in Pennsylvania. You can always call a librarian in at one of those campuses. You could always visit a learning center to get help with any of your classes, not just this class. but there's help if you need it. If anything, you know, I really take pride in Hack as far as helping students to achieve, to be successful. And we have many different resources available for you. So please take advantage of them. Okay, so that's your home page. Let's go back to your content. Let me go back here. Okay, and let's start in your content browser. So as you can see, you can get into each of your weekly modules by clicking here. But what I recommend is that you click up here, because you will see that when you click here, you have a nice overview of the class. You have a sidebar here that shows you every module that's in the course. As you see, module 1, this is the due date, 121, due date is 128, Sundays, 11:45. And what you see here too is that there's 9 items, and then the module is broken down into different areas. Usually it's broken down into, okay, here's an overview, your objectives for the module, and then we have the instruction, which is, you know, either going to Revel for your textbook, or I have a video, whatever it may be, a YouTube video, and then you'll have an assessment. An assessment is your grading, how to grade you to be sure that you understand this material that's in this particular module. So you'll see that breakdown. So if you're in a module and you read a couple chapters and you're like, geez, I didn't take a quiz or I didn't write a discussion post, that means you missed the assessment, because we assess you on everything that you learn in the class. It's just, you know, to be sure that everything is meeting the criteria that you can gain the 3 credits for this particular class. I'd like to say too, this comm class, I teach many different communication classes. This is a real good practical course. This is the 2nd semester I'm teaching this comm252. I'm really excited about it that Hack is now offering this to our students. And the comments I heard from students last semester were very much, you know, this is information I could use today, I could use tomorrow, I could use in the future. So I love teaching something that's very practical, something that you can just hit the ground and use. So you'll find that this communication, business professional communication class will surely help you in all walks of your career and of your life. So keep that in mind, how you can apply this. Okay. So I'm just looking at my time for my video. Here is your first module, and I do want to quickly go over this because this is so very important that you click on everything in this first module with the resources, because you will not, I repeat, you will not be successful unless you do this, and with all modules. But you always see a module objective, which is pretty much what you will learn or what you will gain in that particular module. Here in Module 1, because it's so important, I've given you an audio overview of this particular module for resources. So listen to this, click on that. Syllabus, be sure that you go through your syllabus, that you read it carefully. I do want to mention in your presentations, it's so important that you are aware of your eye contact, that you are aware of your surroundings as a recorder, as you're presenting your information. This Pearson digital link, you need to click on that and put in your code that you bought for this particular textbook. How to be successful. Screencast-O-Matic, this is software. You're going to need to use a PowerPoint like what I'm doing right now. I'm using Screencast-O-Matic. You're going to present and you're going to have a PowerPoint behind it. So this tells you how to download the software if you don't have it, and then how to present using it. How to upload your speeches in GoReact. That's going to be the area where I will grade and your fellow students will watch and you will watch. How to turn on captions if you need to. And you see here that you have 2 assessments due for this particular first module. And then I always have a checklist at the end. So you could see that you have completed all the items in that particular module. So go into that checklist and be sure that you've completed all those items. Okay, I'm going to end it this time. Please continue with your orientation by clicking on the next available video.